We gotta talk about all of these Monster Hunter Wilds news. I was genuinely shocked at the amount of reveals we got yesterday, but interestingly enough, one of the most important things wasn't even revealed during the showcase itself. So in the interest of time, let's get things started right away, shall we? So that really important thing that I was just talking about is that Capcom basically stealth released a benchmark tool for Monster Hunter Wilds. This is something that we have been requesting for quite some time due to the fact that the second open beta that we're going to be getting here pretty soon doesn't actually feature the performance improvements that we're going to be getting in the final version of the game. So in order for people to actually test if their machines can play Monster Hunter Wilds at an acceptable frame rate, they weren't going to be able to do so using the beta. And this is why Capcom decided to go ahead, we'll just release the benchmark tool right friggin' now, which was definitely the right decision. So if you guys are going to be playing Monster Hunter Wilds on PC, I would definitely recommend get on Steam, get the benchmark tool, and test your PC. You can fiddle with the settings. You can change like shadows and all of that stuff to figure out how well your system is going to be able to run the game, which is really, really cool. So we have the scoring system here for the benchmark tool. If we scroll down a little bit, you can also see that the minimum recommended specs have also been changed. They're a little bit lower now. So there's minimum, there's recommended, there's high, ultra, all of that stuff. All of these say frame generation enabled. I was able to run the game without frame generation, and it was like, I think 70 something FPS on my 7900 XTX. So it is still very demanding if you are running at 4K, which is what I was trying to play at. But if you're running on lower resolution, I've seen a wide gamut of results that people have. I haven't really looked into it too deeply, but I do plan on making a performance video at a later date. But today I just wanted to mention, guys, the tool is out there. Get testing, post your results. I have like a channel on my Discord where you guys can post your benchmark results and you can kind of like compare, and people are chatting up, talking about what is the settings that affect it the most, all of that good stuff. So make sure to check that out. Really, really important. For reference, I did a bit of a test on my streaming machine, which last time we also did a Raidao hunt just to see if I would be able to hunt Raidao on the streaming rig. And I was able to do it. It wasn't the prettiest thing in the world. But this time around, we have a lot better visual fidelity while still getting pretty playable frame rates. You guys can see on screen right now what is happening. Do keep in mind that this is 1080p stretched out to like 1440p, which is the resolution at which I'm recording this video. So you will see, a little bit more jaggy, stuff like that. We are using DLSS in this thing, but we don't have frame generation because obviously the GPU is a 2060. That doesn't support frame gen. And this is running on an Intel Core i7-5930K at 3.5 gigs. This is a 10-plus-year-old CPU. So this is a really old rig. This is my streaming rig. It's been used and abused. It barely even boots nowadays, but it manages to run the benchmark tool for Monster Hunter Wilds pretty good. Now, obviously, when it comes to benchmarks, this is all well and good for you to figure out frame rates and all of that stuff, but I would actually want to play the game to test latency and whatnot and to see how actually playable it is. But obviously, that's only going to be possible once we get access to the final version of the game. Now, there were some scenes, as you can see here, with the passing of the time, that we had tremendous frame dips is because there's a lot more stuff being rendered in this specific spot. So in here, it's running at like 40 FPS. So like I said, it's not perfect, but it is very much playable for how old this rig is. Let me know on the comment section down below, how's your benchmark been for your machine. And as you guys can see here, the end result was good with an average of 52 FPS at 1080p, and the settings that I have are pretty much on the medium side of things. So I didn't even go super low, I went medium, so you could have gone lower settings. But, at the same time, I also want the game to look good, so that's what we were looking at for my personal test. Now, following up on that, for the open beta test, and this is going to show up on the video a little bit later as well, because we're going to be rewatching and breaking down the showcase real quick. But yeah, for Open Beta 2 test content, they revealed what the second monster is going to be. Unfortunately for me, because I would prefer to fight the flagship for the first time in the final version of the game, but it seems like the flagship is the monster that is coming to the beta. So we're going to be able to fight Gypsyros, and we're also going to be able to fight Arkveld in the second beta. I'm going to be jumping in there. I'm going to be streaming it on Friday. I'm not going to be streaming it like freaking Thursday night at 3 in the morning. Not doing that. But we're going to be streaming it on Friday. So hopefully you guys look forward to that. Hopefully you guys will show up. But even more important than Arkveld being added to the beta, in my personal opinion, is the fact that we're getting access to the training area. Now, from what I've seen in the showcase, it seems like this little training dummy here has similar functionality to the one that we had in Monster Hunter Rise. So that means we can get it to like slam down to test like parries and stuff like that. We can get it to throw barrels at us to test like stuff against ranged attacks and timings and all of that stuff, which is really, really, really cool if you want to just like practice and learn your weapon. Do keep in mind though, the weapon changes are not going to be in this beta. So things like the insect glaive bounce, the lance's counter thrust thing that you'll be able to do it from neutral, the switch axe hyper armor on full release, those things are not going to be on this beta. But you do get to test the things that were in the previous beta against the training dummy, which I personally think that is something that is still important. They even say here, changes to weapon actions planned for the full game are not reflected in Open Beta 2. You'll also have access to private lobbies, which was something that was very requested to people. They're calling it online single player. Like I said, I think they're doing it online single player just to test the servers. I believe that the game will be playable offline. I don't know if that's been officially confirmed or not, but we were even able to play the other beta offline. Like if you let it idle out, it wouldn't disconnect you. You'd still be able to play it. So I think that definitely for the final version of the game, you will be able to play offline. And then obviously you're going to get the participation bonus, which we already knew is going to be the little Palico pendant, as well as a bonus item pack. So let's go ahead and get things started. We're going to jump into the trailer. I'm going to be breaking down the trailer to the best of my ability. So let's begin. And right off the bat, I have to pause in this frame right here because this is obviously a new locale, which was confirmed yesterday. This is the Iceshard Cliffs, which I actually have the character Rove here because this is the second take that I'm doing of this, and I messed up the first one. It is what it is. But yeah, Iceshard Cliffs. And as you guys can see here, this is the ice zone, which I really wish that they would save some surprises for us. But yeah, we got another zone confirmed. So right now we have the Windward Plains, the Scarlet Forest, the Oil Well Basin, and the Iceshard Cliffs. I expect there to be at least one more major map, but I don't actually know. Now you'll notice that in here we have these things that are prey for spiders. That's because we'll be seeing a returning monster in the trailer here real soon, which is really exciting. You can see a couple of spiderlings there too. Look at them, like all little spiderlings. And then we have this thing here, which features, if you guys ever been to a construction site that's been like, that's being demolished or being torn down, you'll have seen pieces of rebar sticking out from concrete, which is definitely what this image is showcasing here. So this is like the destruction of this ancient civilization, and it's definitely being showcased here. You can see some architecture. Like these are not, I say architecture. These are not things that are naturally occurring in nature. So these are obviously man-made structures, including like whatever it is, this web of wires or whatever that we got going here. And then you can see some more of this like intertwined rebar and whatnot. And again, obviously an ancient civilization is going to be something that is going to be prominently featured in Monster Hunter Wilds, and it is something that I'm personally really, really excited for. I've been, tooting that horn pretty much since the very first teaser trailer. Whenever we see the lightning struck the lightning rods that are in the ground, which obviously seemed like they were purposely made by someone, and that kind of like took me into the ancient civilization route. Now, one more thing that I wanted to point out about this specific scene, and in here we have our hunter character, Alma, as well as Gemma, and we have some bioluminescence going on here. Now, one of the first things that came to mind when I look at this specific scene is like Xeno'jiiva. If you guys ever played Monster Hunter World, you've made your way all up to Xeno'jiiva, this will look somewhat familiar because Xeno'jiiva was basically feeding on all the bioenergy from dead elder dragons. Even though this game is not focusing on elder dragons, that doesn't mean that other creatures do not have bioenergy. And also, considering that there's going to be the fall of an ancient civilization being involved in as one of the major themes of this game, this leads me to potentially believe that this ancient civilization was trying to harvest monster bioenergy to fuel their society, and maybe that is where things went wrong. Maybe that's what they were trying to do with Arkveld. You know, they kept him in chains and they fed off of his energy because it was a really powerful monster or something like that. And as kind of like a defense mechanism, Arkveld evolved himself to be able to absorb energy himself to survive. And maybe that's why he's able to absorb energy from other monsters, like we see a little bit further ahead in the trailer. My head is exploding with possibilities of what all of these things could mean. But basically, I would say ancient civilization doing crazy experimentation on monsters to try and harvest their bioenergy, and things going wrong. Because if you think about it, Monster Hunter World also touches up on bioenergy quite a bit, so it makes sense to kind of build off of that. But I could be completely off base here. These are just like random theories that are popping into my head. Make sure to leave your own random theories in the comment section down below. Let's keep looking at it.
Why is it glowing?
Because bioenergy, because what we just talked about, Hunter. Pay attention.
No clue, but I noticed it when setting up camp.
So here we have our crew. They're probably arriving on the Iceshard Cliffs for the very first time. You can see that Gemma's covered up a little bit here because obviously it's cold. She needs to have a jacket, all of that stuff. And also we have a new character. And that was the character that I had selected because I had done the first take improperly, and now we had to like go back. But we'll put him up here again. He is a Wudwud, and his name is Rove. A Wudwud who wanders the wilds far from his home. It seems like he is going to be taking on the role of somewhat of a guide to our wandering party, which is pretty cool. Another important thing here that I mentioned during yesterday's initial reaction to this trailer is like, these rocks floating, because this is not like the previous rocks that we saw that were like hanging together by pieces of rebar. These actually appear to be floating, which makes me wonder, what is the deal with that? Is that related to Arkveld's power somehow? Don't know. And then we have the first new monster that is being introduced. This is a Leviathan skeleton, and we have him right here. His name is Hirabami, a Leviathan that inhabits the Iceshard Cliffs, razor-sharp claws at its tail, and a wind-catching membrane on its neck. Allowing it to float makes the Hirabami a uniquely dangerous foe. Looking at him reminds me a little bit almost like a centipede, because he's got like all of these sharp claws here. I'm assuming potentially maybe some poison damage or something like that, but at the same time, he's got like membranes all over him, almost indicating kind of like a sea-type creature, but he's not in sea. So, yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but he seems like an interesting little dude. And he's a herd-type monster because two more of these bad boys pop up. Obviously, as you can see, they got ice element stuff going on there. You can see them like freezing our hunter. Well, actually, it looks like it's water. Maybe it's water damage, and then it freezes because we're in this frosty area. Assuming we're going to be needing hot potions for this, maybe, hopefully. One can hope. They do a little bit of a spinny. Here's Rove.
That way. Straight on to the end.
He sounds much more erudite. I was going to say erudite. I mean, like, much more educated than the other Wudwuds who are going like, forest, ours, your respect. This guy is like, oh, all the way to the end of the road. And in here, we get a look at some more of the endemic life. I know that for a lot of you guys are going to be, oh, they look so cute. Oh, look at them. I'm just going to be like, oh, grab one with my net, put it like at camp or something, whatever. And we see some more indications of ancient civilization here. Also, you see a lot of this type of stuff in the Scarlet Forest as well. So, yeah, clearly ancient civilization everywhere. They couldn't be any more or less subtle about it at this point. I love the detail here where our sacreds are actually getting like chuck full of snow and whatnot. Wait a minute. I didn't notice this before, but these are not the single player characters. These are multiplayer characters in what appears to be a cutscene. Does this mean we can play the main story with friends and we'll all get to watch the cutscenes at the same time this time around? I hope so, because these definitely feel like player characters. Best Spider is back, which is a relief because, yeah, dude, Rock Nakadaki, that wasn't it, okay? That was not even close to being it. I know that, sure, it's a fine monster, whatever. It ain't no Nursilla, okay? Nursilla being back, pretty friggin' sweet. I am super hyped. I've always liked Nursilla. I love the fact that she kind of like web slings around like Spider-Man, so it just kind of made sense. It's pretty cool. There it is. And she goes under the web. This is a mechanic that we got back in 4 Ultimate, which was one of the first times that we actually got a little bit more verticality into the maps where monsters would go underneath and above, and you'd have like different interactions with them. I don't know if you guys ever played 4U, but you will know this from Ketchawacha as well, which is really cool. And then we also have the fact that this is yet another monster that was initially introduced with Monster Hunter 4, and that it is showing up right now. And guess what? The reveals aren't over. There's another monster that made its debut in Monster Hunter 4 that is also going to show up. And a character that made its debut in Monster Hunter 4 that is also going to show up in its original armor. So, yes, lots and lots of parallels for Monster Hunter 4. And I might even make like a video dedicated to that stuff. But for now, let's focus on this. Here we have some traps that you can use from the map, from the locale and whatnot. You can see right here pulling in the rocks, smashing them in the face of the Hirabami, slam. And this is one of the coolest shots in the game. One of the coolest shots in this trailer, in my opinion. Which is, if you're paying attention here, you'll notice we have our Nursilla wrapping up a Gypsaros that it probably, like, you know, poisoned and all that stuff, and it's wrapping him up, getting ready to hang him up and whatnot. And here's something that maybe not everybody is aware of. I think that a majority of people are aware, but this is just going to be for the ones that aren't. You guys might be wondering, okay, what's this cloth on top of Nursilla? So Hirabami, Nursilla, Big Bad Spider, Gypsaros, rolling up the Gypsaros, right? Here's the Nursilla entry on monsterhunterwiki.org. And this is the flavor text that they have on the games that Nursilla is in, which is for Ultimate and Generations Ultimate. A Temnoceron, which is the type of monster for the spiders, that spins webs to defend its territory and hunt prey. They bind foes that have been weakened by ailments and devour them with giant mandibles. They are fond of wearing the hides left by the Gypsaros prey they consume. So she's wearing Gypsaros, and they've made a specific interaction to show us Nursilla preying on a Gypsaros, which is it's just really, really cool. Like, I'm sure that for anybody that played Monster Hunter 4 and is aware of all of these little tidbits of information, this is something that is really, really nice to see. And you can see Gypsaros being an asshole. He's playing dead, and then he flashes Nursilla to try and get away, which is really cool. And then here, who's this big boy? Look at him. He looks massive. He's like Big Daddy, whatever the name is of these ones that I've already forgotten because my memory is atrocious. Hirabami. He's Big Daddy Hirabami. Whatever he is. This is going to be an interesting fight because it is not going to be an easy fight. Like, considering his size, like, you're not going to be able to reach that unless you're playing like a ranged weapon, or how are we supposed to fight it? I do not know, but I'm excited. And you can see that it's an ice monster because it is able to put down all that ice damage there. Yeah, that's a big old beastie. And then we get to see camp chock full of players and all of that stuff. And taking into consideration that up until this point, we haven't really seen a gathering hub, it just kind of feels like we aren't getting a gathering hub, which makes me a little bit sad. I personally wanted to have a gathering hub. I know that most people don't care nearly as much as I do about that. But it seems like they're adding all of the social features that we'd usually have in the Gathering Hub up to like camps and stuff, so you can be hanging out with your friends, doing like your session. You can do all the social things at the different hubs that the game has, because all of these are going to be open world with multiplayer integrated into them. Another interesting thing is we have a glimpse of what I'm assuming is Rompopolo armor for Palicos, which is just like a brain in a jar. Like, that's crazy. And we have some more armor here. This is obviously Lalabarina. This is Balahara. Can't really identify what this is. Maybe it's some mix of ingot or something. And then here we have a Rurikhan. A Rurikhan set. So they're showing us a couple of different sets. This right here is probably Hirabami, which was the Switch Axe set that we were all wondering what it was from. Hirabami looks like the most likely monster this would be from. We have Gem over here working on the forge, and we have a Chatakabra set in the background as well. Now here we see people tending their sacreds, and see, this is what I was talking about, the social aspect. These would usually be things that we would do in the Gathering Hub, of hunters getting together and eating and doing whatever. And it seems like this time around, it is going to be done in the different camps that we get and in the villages and stuff like that as well. This part was so magical. Like, I'm sure that for a lot of you guys, you hear the little theme. And people like drumming it up and whatnot. It's really, really cool. Like, really, really cool. And then finally, Arkveld. We see some more of Nata's tragedy over the village of the Keepers getting completely obliterated by Arkveld and all of that. This shot of Arkveld almost reminds me of Resident Evil, Nemesis, right? I can't be the only one. But yeah, Arkveld looks really, really badass.
Isn't right? If things were different, you wouldn't have this unique perspective. But you do.
Also, another thing that I had already pointed out, I think in one of the Khan's anvils, is that the pattern on this pendant that Nata has is also a pattern that is on the ground in the village of the Keepers. Because we see that in one of the trailers, if you guys remember.
If things were different, you wouldn't have this unique perspective. But you do.
And by the way, one of the things I'm going to try to showcase here, I posted this on Twitter earlier today. But we get a really good shot of Arkveld's chains. It's just scrolling back on YouTube. Because initially there was this theory that maybe his skin would overgrow from the chains that he's attached to by the Keepers. But this all looks very much like biologic material. It could still be that beneath all of this, the chains are there. But I think it's just Arkveld himself, and the chains are more like an artistic thing to represent that he was chained up. I don't know. But I don't think that this is like, oh, my skin grew over the chains. But it might have. I don't know. But I don't think that's the case.
We will find his people.
I remember this. I came through here.
The Keeper's village should be right through there.
Look at all this stuff. All of this is environmental storytelling. All of this stuff is trying to tell a story, which, to be honest, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know what story you're saying besides fallen ancient civilization, but yeah.
Is that monster absorbing its energy?
Absorbing Raidow's energy and then transforming it into what we assume is dragon energy. Because dragon energy has always been the mysterious element that nobody really knows what is the deal with dragon energy. Maybe that is going to be something that we're going to be learning throughout this game. But wait.
Look alive, men. Report.
Ace Lancer. We've been saying it from the get-go. Fabius, Ace Lancer. And obviously there he is in his Ace Lancer costume, suit, armor, mix set, whatever. Ready to rock with his big lance. And yes, Gore Magala. Strangely enough, another Monster Hunter 4 monster. Huh. Curious that. Also, if Gore Magala is coming, I think it's safe to assume we're getting frenzy mechanics as well, because you wouldn't introduce Gore Magala and not introduce frenzy mechanics. So that's going to be something for a lot of the newcomers to learn, because obviously, like we've stated multiple times, there's going to be a lot of people whose first Monster Hunter is going to be Monster Hunter Wilds, and for them, you guys are going to be learning about frenzy right from the get-go, which is pretty cool. It's a bit of a different mechanic. It's a debuff. You get like negative affinity than if you use Gore Magala's stuff. You can get way more affinity, and the debuff sometimes changes between games and whatnot. But yeah, it's going to be a cool mechanic for you guys to experiment with.
In a new frosty region known as the Iceshard Cliffs, you can find a new monster, Hirabami, as well as the familiar monsters from past titles, Nerscylla and Gore Magala.
Both monsters that were featured in Monster Hunter 4.
We've introduced many other monsters in previous trailers, but we still have more surprises to come, so look forward to it. We have one more announcement for everyone.
I'm pretty sure that this is the open beta stuff, so I already talked about this. I'm going to be skipping over this simply because this is just them saying, hey, you can go to the training camp, which I've already said, and hey, you can do single-player lobbies, and you can do offline lobbies, and your character carries over to the main game, and so on and so forth. And we're also letting you fight Arkveld, blah, blah, blah. And then they talk a little bit more about how you have to remember that this is not going to feature the performance enhancements that you're going to be seeing in the final game. And then they're going to be showing us some more things about cosmetics. So let's get into that.
Monster Hunter Wilds also offers various cosmetic elements to add more flair to your hunts.
I love the customization. Not sure if you guys noticed,
Monster
but
Hunter
like,
Wilds also offers various
look at the customization on your camp, which they're going to be showing here.
cosmetic elements
But also, this sacred is not the default color. It's got like a more brighter green.
to add
And then
more
in here,
flair.
we have like a blue sacred. I really like all of these changes. They showcase a red sacred
your
at some
hunts.
point. That looks really cool. We see the prance gesture, which was already known from the advertisement that PlayStation made. And the frustrated gesture.
Layered armor for your hunter and palico.
Layered armor available. What the hell just happened? No! Don't explode.
A full game.
Sorry.
Allowing you to custom
So layered armor is available. Layered armor that you get as bonuses for like pre-order bonuses and all of that stuff. That is available from low rank, but layered armor
more
from
flair to your hunt.
whenever you create high rank armor,
Hunts.
you just get the layered armor of that armor, which is really cool.
Armor for your hunter and palico will be registered whenever you craft high-rank equipment.
Which is just going to make me want to craft every single piece of high-rank equipment. And also keep in mind that once they inevitably release the Master Rank expansion to Monster Hunter Wilds, all of that layered armor carries over into that expansion. But another very important thing that we're getting here is alpha and beta sets are back. So not only you get to choose between whether you want to have the male armor or the female armor, but you also get the alpha version or the beta version of both armors. I don't know if they are all different. It'd be cool if they were. Maybe the coloring points will be different or something like that. But yep, alpha and beta confirmed. I'm going to assume that alpha version just has less slots, and then beta version will have more slots like we had before.
Allowing you to customize your appearance without changing.
And these armors look badass. Like, this is the Rurikhan armor. This is the first time that we're getting, like, at least it's the first time that I'm getting a really clean look at it. Looks badass.
In your armor's stat.
And then this is the Hirabami armor. And this is your Palico with, what set is this? Doshiguma, I think? I think this is Doshiguma. I forget. Lalabarina. Balahara.
As you progress through the story, you'll also be able to change your sacred's color and
Look at this.
decorations.
That is pretty cool. Oh my god, I hadn't even noticed this one. It's like white with black splotches on it. That's pretty cool. This is the one that I was talking about. Look at the big red. Mine's not going to look like this because I'm going to make it look like flames. But yeah, this, I can't wait to customize the sacred.
You can
and
even
then obviously
customize
change the
your
pop-up camps. We already knew
such as
about
your
this.
tent's appearance. Camping chairs and other features.
Now, the really cool thing is that I knew that you could do this because IGN had already showcased all of this stuff, but I didn't know that these were actually going to be interactable items.
And even the background music for the area.
Like, look at this. You can just sit down and chill. You have the little training barrel next to your camp. Look at the camo on this camp, by the way. That's friggin' legit. Like, that's just look at how different each of these camps can be. And again, the moment of is so good.
In past games, hunters used what was called a guild card to introduce themselves.
So now you have a
to
hunter
others.
profile.
But in this game, we've introduced the hunter profile, which has more features than ever. Customize it to your liking and really show off your personality.
Mine's just going to be one big explosion. Like, that's it. It's just one big explosion. That's my background. Photo mode. That's also really cool.
In photo mode, you can change
Like,
the
look at
camera
this.
view and depth of.
You guys, some of you may not care that much about this. Let me tell you something. As a content creator, this is going to make thumbnails so much easier. You just don't understand this, the thumbnail struggle. Trust me, okay? This is one of the best things that Capcom could have done just for me.
Field.
I love this track, though. This track, I haven't heard it in-game yet, but I love this one.
In online single-player mode, you can even pause the game to take a photo. Keep an eye out for that perfect shot.
Rathalos armor.
Pre-ordering the game will give you the Hunter Layered Armor Guild Night Set and the Talisman Hope Charm exclusive bonuses. Players with saved data from Monster Hunter, World, and Iceborne will receive Palico equipment and a nameplate for their Hunter profile.
Hells yeah.
For those who register and link their Capcom ID, there will be item packs available.
So you can also
There will
register your Capcom ID to get some item packs, and in here, we once again see the prance item, the prance gesture, frustrated gesture, all that stuff, and they say familiar gestures from the series and character and
To be
Palico edit
familiar
vouchers.
gestures from the series and character and Palico edit vouchers that will allow you to edit your characters even after creation. These will be available for free from each platform store after release.
So I believe that the gestures, you get those and you can use them whenever you want. That's it. They'll just be associated with your account or whatever. But I think that the Palico and character vouchers, these are going to be one-time things. So they'll give you, it's like the first hit's free, but then you're going to have to pay, because that's been the way that character vouchers have worked since Monster Hunter World. So it's kind of like, make sure that you get your character right during the open beta period, because you have plenty of time to like really work on your character and save it the way that you want to, so that when the game comes out, you're not like, oh man, I really wish that I had done this one tiny thing to my character, and then it's gonna be like, oh, that's gonna be a character voucher. Ooh. So yeah, make sure to do all of your character creation during the beta, because then you have more time to just play the game when the actual game comes out.
For those who want even more style, the Deluxe Edition will include the full game with extra fashionable content.
And then in here, I believe it's
Further,
just all of
post day
the
of
pre-order
release.
bonuses and whatnot. And this is a really cool thing. I love the sacred, the different sacred gear and whatnot. I'm hoping that there will be event quests that will let you get this stuff as well. They talk about event quests later on, but these are from the deluxe editions. But they also say that later on there will be event quests. So it's going to be like deluxe stickers, which you've had before as well. And if you pre-order the premium deluxe edition, you get the proof of a hero music to play in your camp, as well as a bunch of different things for your hunter profiles and all of that stuff. And there will be more DLC packs, and you can buy these later as well, even if you don't buy the premium deluxe edition. So I wouldn't stress too much about it for now. If you're strapped for cash, I mean, if you're strapped for cash, you shouldn't really be wasting it on your income on a video game. But if you don't want to buy the premium version, you don't have to. You can pick up the DLC later if that's something that you're worried about. And here they showed a little bit of Rathian footage.
Starting the week following release, limited time event quests will be introduced.
I think this might be the first time that we see Rathian on screen for Wilds.
Through these
And then they're talking about like different things that you can get from the event quests, like I said.
you can earn armor with special look.
This is the one that everybody's excited for. Reminds me a lot of the Golden Macaque for Monster Hunter World Iceborne, which everybody loved the Golden
as
Macaque.
rewards. Updates are planned following the initial release. Please
Obviously,
look forward
event
to more
quests and
details
all of that
regarding
stuff.
these additional
But
content.
yeah, this is pretty much all of the new information that was given to us. I'm going to be wrapping up here. I also want to do videos, like I said, talking about the connections to Monster Hunter 4, as well as potentially talking about performance a little bit more. But for now, that's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe button, notification icon, all that jazz. There's also a reaction stream if you want to check that out in the channel. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.